Welcome, I'm Joel Leonard. We're here for another edition of Skill TV, and I'm here again in Cleveland, Ohio at Lincoln Electric's corporate headquarters, and I happen to have one of their business leaders, Carl Peters, to join me and give me a little bit of their vision and their scope and how they're going after and solving the skills crisis and maintenance crisis that they see, they agree with me on, and what they're doing to actually solve it. So Carl, thank you for taking some time here, and I've gotten an interesting tour thus far, and I can't wait to see the rest of your facility. It's enormous. How many square feet do you have?
It's about 1.5 million square feet under roof.
And you guys have been around for over 100 years here, right?
Yeah, our company started in 1895, so we're 113 years old, and we're very proud of that record.
And you've been actually contributing worldwide. I've seen some of the buildings. You had some structures and welding projects that you've done in Malaysia and in Australia and all around the world, and vessels and all kinds of skill sets. A lot of people, welding is actually, you've equipped the tools and provided the training and do all kinds of resources, or provide the resources to make those things happen.
Right. I mean, welding is not only critical in this country, but all over the world, especially if you look at the build-out of the infrastructure, the buildings, the highways, then you want automobiles to run on those, then the whole energy sector. When you drill a gas well or oil well, you've got to transport the oil or gas, so you either use pipelines or ships, and everything from beginning to end is welding related. So when I started the company in 1979, there were only 4 manufacturing facilities at that point. Today, we are manufacturing in 42 facilities in 21 different countries around the world.
My goodness.
So we've got a footprint all over the world, although this is our corporate headquarters. We're investing heavily in manufacturing right here in Euclid, Ohio, and it's important that we keep a strong base in the United States as well.
Well, this is wonderful, and you guys are seeing firsthand the exiting of the workforce. The baby boomers are no longer babies, and things aren't booming. Things are going to go bust if we don't get those workers developed, right?
Yeah, and it's almost scary. I was at a recent program of skilled trades in Myrtle Beach last week. There were 400 people in the room, and when I looked around, I took a mental image of the age of the group, and I would say the average age is 47 to 50 years old in that group, and I'm thinking, boy, in 10 years, who's going to be running all this? So I think that's a real challenge a lot of us face, that the people with the knowledge and the hands-on skills that have been doing it all their life are ready to retire, and we've got this vacuum there that we've got to fill.
And our educational system has been directing everybody to go to a 4-year institution and forgetting about the really necessities of hands-on skilled technicians and skilled workers.
Well, I think there certainly has been a tendency there, and I guess I've lived through that myself. I've got 4 brothers, and myself and my other brother went the educational route. My 2 other brothers went the route of going to the skill centers, and at least at that time and even to today, there's a stigma that if you're doing well in school and you want to succeed in life, go on to college, and then the people who don't do so well will come over here and get a skilled trades, and you'll be okay. And it's a real myth, because for a couple things, the skilled trades need talented people also. They need people who understand English and writing and math, and they need business managers over there. They need people who can run the new technologies and to stay competitive. So it's a real myth to think that that group is split up. The other reason it's a myth is because there's a lot of people going the college route that when they get their degree, they don't get a job. They're not employable. And so a lot of them are going back into the 2-year community college system to learn a trade, to learn a skill that they can go out and get a job in. And so I think there has to be an understanding of the paths that you can go. And there's some great career paths that are not going to the 4-year degree.
Well, and it's essential, as you said. I mean, if we don't have a welding, we don't have an infrastructure, we have bridges collapsing, we got elevator cars collapsing, we've got all these different issues, cranes happening every day, it seems like now. So, I mean, if we don't start really investing in our skilled trades and start building that workforce. I was listening to the radio on the way here this morning. They said there's over 6,000 openings paying $25 to $30 an hour right here in Ohio, and they can't find kids that are willing to get the education they need to be able to receive that kind of opportunities and fulfill those kind of roles.
Right. It's almost like sometimes I feel I live in two different worlds. I'll go to a skilled trades program with the iron workers or the boiler makers, or the UA pipe fitters, and they talk about almost the inability to get enough skilled people to fill these jobs, and they're paying them good money. We have kids coming out of high school that are making over $100,000 a year one, going to some of these jobs. It's just absolutely incredible. They're making more than their mom and dad put together. Then you go read the newspapers, and they talk about all the jobs going overseas, and people can't get jobs. There's a complete disconnect there. There are jobs there for people who want to work, people who want to apply themselves. There's work there.
And it definitely is. It requires a serious PR campaign, so to speak, to get the message out. And our society has glorified too many occupations that don't necessarily add a lot of value. And we don't need any more American Idols, I don't think. And we need to have more people willing to get their hands dirty, roll up their sleeves, and get it done. And I applaud Lincoln Electric for what you've done. Share with us some of the. I know we went from stick welds to electric arc welds, and now you get involved in some robotic welding. Tell us some of the future technologies and some of the things and evolutions. Where do you think some of this is going to be going?
Right. Welding is changing rapidly as technologies in probably all sectors are changing. And I think we can probably break it down and focus on really three areas. One is safety, the other is the quality of the work, and the other is the productivity. And the way I like to think is you have to build a product that's safe for your own people to build, and safe for other people to use. Then you need quality work. People expect it done right the first time. And then once you get that figured out, you got to learn how to do it faster and faster. That's the productivity issue. And so we're focusing a lot of effort on the tools that customers can use to accomplish those three things. So we look at, in the safety area, we look at not only the safety training, but whole environmental systems for removing the smoke and fumes, for instance. You're looking at those issues. We have a department that does that. Because one of the things on recruiting people in the industry is we also have to work on the image of welding to make people know that they're not just going to be under a shower of sparks and hot leathers all day long. There's a lot more to welding than that. Then we look at the quality issue on doing it right the first time. So the new technologies that are coming out, they make it easier to make a good weld the first time. It isn't that you couldn't make a good weld before, but it's a little easier to make a good weld the first time. And then also monitored electronically to keep track of.
Yeah, he showed me. You've actually got some computer systems that you can actually see how the welds go. And with nuclear power systems and some of these critical systems and welding is used in, I mean, that's good to have. I mean, understand, I had a friend of mine that worked at NASA, and he showed me some of the systems that they have, and when they had the disaster, his job was a nightmare because he had to go back in and validate every one of the welds, and they had hundreds of thousands of welds that went on those tanks, and it was just a nightmare for him to have to go back in. But now you've got some of these things that will validate it right there on the spot.
Oh, absolutely, and I think that goes, I guess it's good news for those people who say, I want to be involved in computers, so do I want to go into welding? And you're going to find out that welding does involve computers. And along that line, the welding machines will actually monitor a weld, has the ability to monitor a weld that someone's making. And if they weld outside the parameters that have been set to make a good weld, the machine will automatically email a quality control person and tell them off-site, 1,000 miles away, that someone just made a bad weld. And they have the ability to shut the machine down until it is fixed, or at least to alert them which weld was made wrong so they can come back and investigate it. So that's where the technology is going, to be able to follow the quality, the whole quality aspect.
That's fascinating. That was absolutely fascinating. Again, we rely on critical welds to keep our economy going. That's good to know.
It's very, and there's certainly a safety issue involved there as well. And then the third element is certainly the productivity. We can compete against offshore companies. We do it here every day. We have an expanding workforce right here in Cleveland. But to do that, you have to be on top of your game, and productivity is an issue, and that's where you need to employ either robotics or some advanced technologies to make sure that each individual is producing more every day so we can remain competitive.